Hi guys, welcome back to Newcastle Fans TV. We just thought, while the international break is pretty much right bang in the middle of everything at the minute.
Boycotting the rugby.
Boycotting the rugby. This is actually when we're recording now, before kick-off in the England versus Italy game. Hopefully England won. We're just going to have a little touch upon everything that's happened from pre-season to the current day. Newcastle sit 4 points from 4 games, a point a game as an average. Kyle, was that what you were expecting from pre-season after we go to the likes of Hibs and Preston and Saint-Maximin as well? We've played at St James's. Is it pretty much an okay return for Steve Bruce so far?
Well, I expected 0 points after 4 games, if I'm completely honest with you, Johnny. So that being said, I think the win at Tottenham, we'll never forget it. I think bar the absolutely dire, utter shit performance at Norwich, I think we haven't been too bad. One mistake cost us a point against Arsenal, and that Norwich game was traumatic, to say the least. And the game against Watford, I thought on a different day we could have won that game, but it's just we deserved a point from that one.
Pre-season, Rob, was a bit deflating. I think the word was, Steve Bruce wasn't Newcastle's main choice. Chris Roth revealed that on the radio show last week. The radio show will be back this Sunday. Rob's taking the lead on this one. It just wasn't great in terms of not getting the signings. Perez leaves. Were you feeling quite down about what going into the season?
Well, there was certainly turmoil, wasn't there? Before Bruce came in, obviously Rafa leaving, Perez leaving. And when the fixtures came out, and the club reacted really late to bring Bruce in. Bruce came in a lot later than he should have done. He should have been in a matter of weeks before he did. So considering 4 points from the first 4 games, considering where we've been over the past few months, then that is definitely acceptable, considering we've played Arsenal, Tottenham, of course Tottenham being a memorable game. But take that away, there is massive room for improvement coming up. Hopefully, Bruce, I think he can get the best out of some players. But at the same time, it's good, but it's not quite Carling. There certainly seems to be something missing there.
Were alarm bells ringing for you after Norwich? Were you thinking, I can't see us where we're going to get our first point of the season?
Alarm bells, yes. Panic, no. Because at the time there was still 36 more league games to come, and you see so many teams, that are in September, when they're in the relegation zone, and they end up in the top half or mid-table comfortably thereabouts by the end of the season. So I knew that panicking was probably going to lead to the worst case scenario. I was always confident that we were going to learn from that. It wasn't a case of the squad aren't good enough, therefore they can't get more points out of further games. It was more they had an off day, they can get points in future games. There was no doubt about that. So I think Norwich, as bad as it was, as dire as it was, as deflating as it was, then I'm pleased we came back strongly against Tottenham.
We'll touch on about Tottenham in a second, Kyle, but I want to ask you personally, who's been the most outstanding player in terms of the new arrivals? Obviously Joe Linton's taken the number 9 mantle, got that first goal against Tottenham. Is he the one that you've got to say has been probably the best player out of all the new signings so far?
You have to, don't you? Joe Linton took his goal really well against Spurs, and I think his general play is really good. I mean, last year we Rondon, as you know, Rondon with me, but obviously Rondon last season he had more of a hold-up style to his play, whereas I think Joe Linton looks to build out from the back and he looks to try and create more there, instead of you can tell he's played on the wing, especially last season in the Bundesliga. He's a good footballer, and I think if he gets the service from the likes of Almiron, Maximin, who we've yet to see yet, and I think once he gets back from his hamstring injury, he's going to really sort Newcastle's problems out in that particular department. I know Chris Natsu's playing well, but you cannot depend on him full time. Once ASM gets in, I think you'll see a different side to Joe, and I think the people that got on his back from week 1, it's just a joke, really, to be honest. You can't expect a hat-trick straight away and then goals on goals, especially in what is a defensive team. Do you know what I mean? You need to get behind the lad from an early stage, I think.
Let's talk to you, Rob, about Tottenham. We've not really spoken to you about the Tottenham results. Obviously, it was a fantastic win. Steve Bruce's first win in charge as a competitive fixture for Newcastle United. It was pretty much almost perfect, wasn't it? Because defensively Newcastle were absolutely sound. yes, Tottenham had the moments, but Newcastle were pretty much comfortable when
Kane
Tottenham
didn't dive in any of them.
I don't know, we'll touch about that in a second, but it was a brilliant counter-attack for the goal, good football, and then we defended well. It was just almost a perfect performance, wasn't it?
Good play, but I think when you look at the goal, Tottenham could and should have done a lot more in terms of closing us down, because I think we strung nearly a good 15-20 passes together before we got the shot away, all of which came, because Tottenham were not putting any sort of pressure on us. So I think, I'm not saying we got lucky or anything, because I think it was good skill to try and play those passes, that many, and have the finish at the end of it was spectacular from Joe Linton. Defensive performance inspired by Rafa Benitez, because we've seen it before against the big teams, Man City being of course one of the big occasions that we played like that, and that defence, there's not been much of a change. Obviously Kraft we brought in over the summer, but other than that, the defenders are well drilled. They have the know-how to defend solidly against a big team in such circumstances, when we get the one goal that we need, followed by just defence, pedal to the metal, just defence, hold what you have. And they did it superbly. Everything that they did that day was perfect, that defence. I think Lascelles got our man of the match, if I remember rightly. Dummett got the Sky man of the match. Honestly, the whole defence, if you could give the man of the match award to 6 players, it would be to the defence and Dubravka for such a sublime performance. And then the day itself, obviously England miraculously won in the cricket just before kick-off as well. It was about 10-15 minutes before kick-off that Ben Stokes finished that brilliant run. So it was absolutely perfect. 2 sporting miracles in one day. You'd be lucky if you saw one each year, like one per year.
You couldn't write it, could you, Rob? We'll talk about the cricket one in a separate video, I think. Don't know if we'll get many views. Kyle, obviously we got the point against Watford last week, which I think was a fair result. I think looking back, I think Watford had the chances, but Newcastle probably dominated more of the play, especially in the second half. Look at the next 4 games before another international break. We've got Liverpool away, Brighton at home.
Makes an easy start.
Of course, Brighton at home. We have also got Leicester away, and then we've got Manchester United at home with St James's on Super Sunday before another international break.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think these are 4 tougher matches than the 4 that Steve Bruce has just had personally. How much emphasis is that Brighton home game in particular going to be if Newcastle are to stay away from the bottom 3 after the Man United game?
Well, you've got to be looking at 4 points at least, Johnny, I think, to stay away from the bottom 3, because I think the league as a whole this season is a lot more competitive than it was last, and I think you're going to find it what it was 2 years ago, where there's a lot of teams crammed together like sardines in the midfield of the league. So it's going to be a case of we need to start well. We can't afford to have 1 win in 11 like we did last year. We're going to have to pick up a win somewhere, and you probably would look to that Brighton game, but to be honest, the past couple of seasons we've said this on camera where we should beat Brighton. We 1-0 at home last year, and then the season before that it was the worst game. I think it was the 28th of December 2017, and it was shit. It was a horrible game. We haven't scored past Brighton at St James Park in the past 2 outings here, so it is going to be a harder game than people make out. But Leicester, we've got a decent record at Leicester. Leicester's a wonderful place, as I always like to say. 2 times going down there I've been, and 2 wins, so hopefully the good luck charm can continue, because I'm going down again. But it's going to be a hard couple of games. I'm looking at the Man U game in particular, because my best mate's a Man U supporter, so if we can beat them, as bad as the stick I've received over the summer, Steve Bruce this or Emil Croft this, if we beat Man United, I think it'd be a personal win for me for the season.
Rob, I'll let you finish off with the question I was asked Kyle. Liverpool away. I think if anyone gets anything off Liverpool this season at Anfield, I think that'll be classed as a very good result. Manchester United, it depends which Manchester United turn up, and then you've got Brighton and Leicester, which are probably the most 2 winnable games on paper, it has to be said.
Yeah.
The same question to you, how many points can you say Steve Bruce's side getting?
Good question. Okay, so I think Liverpool, that's definitely going to be a write-off, because you've got your top 6, haven't you?
Well, have you? When you look at Chelsea,
I was about to say you can easily divide that into a top 2, Liverpool, Man City, and then your other 4. So I think those 2 teams are a cut above everyone else. So Liverpool, for me, that's definitely a write-off. Man United, you just never know what team's going to turn up. Obviously on the opening day they thrashed Chelsea, then they changed the system and they haven't won since, and they haven't changed it back yet. So that has been quite baffling for me from Solskjaer. But then, yeah, you're perfect when you say Leicester, of course, very difficult game. Leicester, they are a good degree above us, I would say, in terms of squad quality, squad depth, ambition, all leads to that. But then, having said that, if Kyle's sort of going to be there.
And in the cup as well, they played a full strength team against Watts in James's Park in the cup, and we played what was probably a rotated side, and we did okay. So there is hope there, but I would agree in saying they're cut above us, I think.
And of course just bring your Leicester luck, and then Brighton, of course. I know we lost here to them last year, and that was really tough to take, because I think everyone was saying that was a must win. That was 9th game of the season, I think. That is a must-win, considering their disastrous away record since getting promoted to the Premier League.
Give us a number, Rob. How many points out of 12 are we getting?
I'd be satisfied with 4, but I think we can maybe notch that up to 5. A win and a draw, win and 2 draws.
Kyle?
I'd be satisfied with 4, but if we play as well as I know we can, like the Spurs performance, I don't see why 6 isn't a possibility. But that's being very optimistic. If it could all go to shit, we could have 0 points after the next international break, but you never know.
Kyle's gone with 6, Rob's gone with 5. I'm going to go with Rob on this one. I think we'll not get anything at Liverpool. I think we'll nick a point at Leicester if we're lucky. We might nick something against Man United, but I think we'll get the better over Brighton. I think it's about time that we get a result over Brighton.
And a goal.
And a goal over Brighton, yeah, definitely. I think.
Yeah, I can't see Potter making a spell on us. Putting a spell on us.
It took to the last bit of this video to get a pun in or get a joke in, so I think we've done pretty well on this video. Like and subscribe to Newcastle Fans TV. Get your comments in below as well. How many points can you see Newcastle getting from the next 4 games, and who's been your player of the first 4 games? Thanks very much. Bye.